Hello everyone, and welcome to the first HOD vlog. If you don't know me, if you've never met me, my name is Stuart Alexander Burton Jr. I am the designer and world operator for Heroes of Destiny, every single world. I am the sole art designer, artist, writer, algorithm designer, you name it. I pretty much do everything. I really wanted to make this video basically to talk about some things regarding the game and regarding my operating it. So, as you know, I am away at college in the freezy home of Rochester. I have a very intense schedule in game design, actually, so I can design things that can further my projects. But, I don't always have a lot of time to test, and it's also rather difficult to manage things here. If you have no idea where I spend most of my time and where I work, I'm basically under my bed right now. I've used a sheet to cordon off a nice section underneath so you don't all see the mess that is pretty much around. In fact, if I turned this computer a little bit, you would see just how crazy it is. But I'll stay professional. So about Heroes of Destiny and testing. Well, first off, my classes are spread out pretty thin throughout the day. I usually have courses that range from early in the morning to late at night. I have some very intense courses as well. I'm currently taking physics, an introduction to world politics, which is a class that I chose to take so that I can better design worlds and places and lore for you guys. As well as, of course, a game design course and a 2D animation class where I will be learning how to animate. And so I've gone and bought myself some interesting things to use with drawing and artwork and everything, and we'll see how that goes. But again, with the classes, I don't really always have enough time when I come back to my dorm, and even on weekends, to spend working on algorithms and fixing things, making them better, reading your comments and everything. I have to really give a shout out to Adam for collecting all of that information for me. It's extremely useful, and I'm also glad that you all feel comfortable enough to contact him and send him that information, because I really do check through all of that. In fact, I color code it, and I go through and I look at the problems that I can fix, and problems that are actually things that you'll all have to discover. But I do look at those things, and I don't always have time to make the changes that I want to make. Oftentimes I get very frustrated, and even when I do test, there's something, a character or something that I want to draw, or I plan to run something like the Alpha World Island event, and then I end up getting destroyed by coding homework for my game development course, and it just doesn't work out, and it makes me very upset. And then it makes me, in fact, even more upset because I know that all of you testers are also upset. I say that I'll run the game, and then I don't, and that's a really sucky thing to do. But I really don't want to fail my courses. And if you don't know, my first semester was pretty rough. I've got things together now, so everything is going really great. I didn't really do that bad, but it wasn't up to my standards. And I really do want to get everything that I can out of these courses so that not only can I make Heroes of Destiny better, but I can potentially turn it into something more available. I really do want to transform the game into something that doesn't require me all of the time. As some of you might know, I've been working extensively with Microsoft Excel, and that was sort of the first stage of coding and the first sort of quantum leap that Heroes of Destiny took after the Facebook jump, which was crazy big. Before it was all on paper and pencil, and then it moved to texting with Adam, actually. and then it moved to Facebook. But I want to turn it into something else that you all can have even if I'm not around. And I have been, of course, learning extensively C# um, through my game development courses. And I have begun to make projects and things, but I'm still really just learning. I don't know much about coding yet. Although it's very easy once I learn something to transfer it to code. Learning in the beginning is a very, very, very hard part. But I'm working on that, so that'll get along. So as I said, with the difficulty of my courses and wanting to take the time to actually learn things and focus, the timing doesn't always work out. Even when I plan things, it really does make me upset. And I know it makes you guys upset, but I have my priorities here, and I really do need to focus on these things so that in the long run I can provide a better service and a better game to all of you. I suppose the second thing I'd like to talk about is the comments and everything that people are sending. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up a very interesting comment and some comments and things that Adam sent me. And so far, the majority of the time, the comments have been regarding timing, of course, and that's one of the biggest problems. It's extremely difficult to know when I'm gonna have time to test and then tell you guys, all right, at this time, be ready. These people, and it doesn't always work out. That really does make me angry. But I'm gonna go ahead and look at the earliest one. Okay, so it turned out that my phone really wasn't going to work, so I went ahead and printed up the actual questions that you all sent in, probably during one of the earlier or the first surveys that Adam did. They're all color-coded. You probably can't see them, but they're color-coded. In order of importance, or rather the response that I have to give them. So I'm going to start off with the green ones, which are questions or statements that are pretty easy for me to answer, and they're really changes that I can't make, or they're sort of opinions, rather. So the first one is, I feel like everything wants to kill me. Well, everything doesn't want to kill you. Lots of things can kill you. In fact, anything can kill you. But if you're feeling very paranoid about everything killing you, either you're in the wrong place or you're doing something wrong. But everything does not want to kill you. I would say it's about maybe 50-50 throughout the entire world. Depending on where you are, certain races, of course, there is a degree of racism in the game, and there are a lot of political struggles and things that players and races have to deal with. So if you feel like everything wants to kill you, you might want to get out of there. Alright, I'm going to start from the top on this one. The next comment here is, the choices players make affect the other players way too much. Now, with that one, everything that you do, everything that a hero does, affects the entire world. Everything that you do, even the smallest thing, has a very large ripple effect that will go and affect everything else. You can't do something without consequences. A lot of the players do just tend to do things that either coincidentally or purposefully do, cause other players to do things. Whether your friends are telling you or not, they may be trying to kill you. So if something seems to be happening just out of the blue, maybe it's not. Next comment is, I feel like he's just doing this to mess with his players. Now, I don't mess with testers. I don't like to mess with the code, and I don't like to mess with the numbers because that doesn't give me an accurate representation of the game. The game is a microcosm and a miniature world that is run, through numbers. And the anomalies are the players, the heroes, and the agents. I I don't really mess with people that often. If anything, it's a small joke in the name or the personality of a character, but I would never just throw you into a situation that doesn't work. Um, if you do end up in one, well, then it's probably your fault or another player's fault or random chance, because that is a part of the game. You know, it's not always easy. The next comment is, every test feels like life or death, giving me no real fun in playing if I might die at any point. Well, that's true. You can die at any point. That's just how it is. Next comment is, the bad side seems to be way overpowered as they can't die. You're talking about end agents, and are instantly brought back to life, making me feel like Stu wants to destroy the world. Well, I don't want to destroy the world. I want to see what happens. If I just destroyed the world, that wouldn't really show me anything. It would just show me that I am inept at operating an STRPG. And as the first and pretty much now the only active world operator, that would reflect very poorly on me. And I do have a certain reputation and honor to uphold. I'm not going to do something like that. And in terms of the overpowering, well, yes, they are. And everything that's happened so far in the world that has gone over, I didn't design things this way. In fact, the whole game started out 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50 for like every single side. Like it was the same split evenly. And the players came in and changed things around. Random chance happened. NPCs were killed or let go when they probably should have been killed. And some were helped. And that really changed the tide of things. And as it turns out, right now, all of you in Alpha World have a lot to deal with. A lot more than any other world. So that is true. Right now, they're not overpowered. They're very, very strong in regards to perhaps an Alpha World player. Extremely beyond strong in regards to any other world player. But that's how the world is, and for those of you in Alpha, hey, fix it or join it. The next comment is, bringing back players who haven't played in a while, or banned players as bad guys, is stupid, and makes me feel more like it's a punishment if I can't make tests, or if someone wants to come back in. So the only time that I've turned a player into an end agent, or as a quote-unquote bad guy, is with two people who commit criminal offenses in real life, and so I banned them after some trials, and otherwise, I don't really want those kinds of people in my testing group. I don't want to be really associated with them, and so I remove them. And people who leave on their own without contacting me for a reason of a hiatus or anything, I automated. And in line with their characters and the personalities of how, the players ran their characters, well, unfortunately, they're not quite the best kind of people. And that doesn't happen with really any other player, and it hasn't. There are, in fact, still several other player characters that are still alive and hiding in Alpha World, because I'm pretty sure that's what this person is talking about. And it's not a punishment. There is no punishment if you can't make a test. If you can't make a test for a year, well, I'm not punishing you, but I can't let time continue to stand still where your character is, and I may have to progress it. So that's that. The next comment is, I feel like it's either suck up to the most powerful people or be low level and die. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it doesn't quite matter how you feel. It matters what you do afterwards, and that's what makes you dead or a hero. Next comment is, making players who just join, get leveled, or even forced to pick a side makes it feel like it's just a game of chess that Stu is playing by himself. So again, I'm not really manipulating players or anything to any sort of end. There's no real goal that I want to see. I just want to see whether the world continues to live on thanks to the players or die. And uh, I mean, especially in Alpha World. Everywhere else, this doesn't really happen, except for maybe Epsilon World, where some players joined in the middle of like a terrorist attack, basically. But I gave them the choice of not spawning there, and they decided to anyway, and so they're working it out. But players who just join in Alpha, you better expect, and I've closed Alpha, so nobody can join Alpha anymore. But those of you who have joined Alpha and not really tested as much as the other people, well, you're going to get thrusted straight into the action and the danger very, very quickly, so you can expect to either level up or die very, very fast. And that's just sort of unfortunate as well. But that's Alpha World, and if you want to jump to Beta World, you can. Mind you that your characters don't go away. So, end agents, such and such. Next comment is, I feel like anything can kill me easily. Like enemies just seem so effing jacked that we're just there like, hi, I'm a hero. Well, I'm assuming you're still talking about Alpha World. Yes, the enemies or bad guys in Alpha World are very, very jacked for a reason. And there's really not much that I can do about that. That's exactly how Alpha World is. It's extremely difficult now. It was not that hard at the beginning. It is very hard now. It is top tier difficulty that very few players can survive on their own without help. Next comment is, I don't feel like he ever listens to criticism ever. The next comment is, I feel like there's an extreme lack of information available to players. That's partially for a reason. Some of the information, in regards especially to Alpha World, some of it's wrong there on that page, and purposefully. If you're working off Alpha World lore, and you're taking everything to the T as correct, don't do that. There's a little bit more to it. There's a little bit of metagame going on for you. I will not give you all the answers. And especially because more often than not, and pretty much by law now, players start with no backstory and no memories, for a reason again. Of course, you don't have all of the information. Players start with an extreme lack of information. It's your job to either get that information or remain in the dark. Or die. I don't know, that's always your choice. The next comment is, dying is too permanent. It makes the game not enjoyable because I'm constantly worrying about dying. Well, you should constantly worry about dying. And like real life, dying is pretty permanent. And at least in Heroes of Destiny, you can reincarnate, and if you have spirit points, you have the chance to reincarnate as something stronger. But that's a key factor and part of the game. That's sort of something that you have to deal with. HOD 2 will change that, though, so we'll see. Next comment is, I find myself confused a lot of the time because I know so little. I think there should be a certain amount that all players should know off the bat. Well, there is a certain amount that all players know off the bat. Generally, that's their surroundings and immediate description, and the information that's provided by the Alpha World page. Other than that, I don't really give you too much because depending on what world you join, it's quite different, and it's up to you to explore it and view it in your own way. If I were to give everybody the same information, I would begin to see trends in where players go and the actions that they make. And I really rather like seeing players start with nothing and begin to make their own choices and find their own way, because then the paths of freedom are greatly increased. Next comment is, all the females are psycho, and there's an overwhelming majority of them. Not quite. It may seem like that to you, and if so, that's quite unfortunate. But the reason that there is actually a very large majority of active and very prominent women in Heroes of Destiny, especially Alpha World, is because it's sort of an agreement that I made with myself early in my game design career, back in the day when I was making much simpler games, but many, many more games. Uh, there were no female characters. I never included any female character. I didn't really feel like they ever had a place in any of the games. And over time, I just felt like that was very wrong. And so one sort of promise that I made to myself with Heroes of Destiny is that I would make females the more prominent and visible characters, or at least add more of them. And depending on what players do, then it would change the balance of, I guess, the gender prominence. Um, Originally, it was to also balance out the massive amount of players and then female CNPCs. Um, they may seem psycho because they're pretty strong, and when they really want to do things, if you were strong and there were weaker people that are trying to get in your way, you would figure out a way around them, and that might appear as very crazy or extreme to them. But they're sort of doing what they have to do, and a lot of players do honestly look very crazy to the other NPCs, so not much there I can do. Um, Being evil seems to give you a huge power boost that just doesn't seem fair. Yeah, that's true. Except with being evil, you do gain a very, very quick power boost. You get very, very strong very, very quickly, but you're pretty much capped off at that point. And if you're getting your power from an evil place, you better bet that your butt's linked to somebody who's like, your soul is mine, or your butt is mine, or like whatever, but you're owned by somebody and you can get killed off if they want you to die, whatever. Being good, of course, takes a lot of time and dedication to get strong, but then your potential to grow is limitless, and you really don't have any ties if you're not owing anybody your soul. Next comment is, some people get super boosted from one moment to the next. And it's really annoying to the people who actually train and work hard. Like I said with the previous comment, yeah, it is really annoying when somebody evil is super powerful, or somebody just sort of like skips ahead, but there's usually a cost to it, so you shouldn't feel too bad if somebody all of a sudden jumps, because you better bet that there's some sort of difficulties lying in wait for them. There's something binding them. And the last comment, green comment here, is, I know little to nothing about all magic and what's going on. Well, that's good, because magic really isn't a thing that a lot of people know about in Heroes of Destiny. It's a very closed-in thing that very, very few people do. Especially in Alpha World, it's more converted. It's more seen as like science, and it's progressed a little bit further in the hidden ways of the empires. But really, you won't know a lot about magic. You really have to work and explore to figure out more about it. I also apologize for any other people or voices and sounds that you might hear. I'm aware that there is a big, big sports game or something going on, and some people are like exploding their pants and whatever about it. But I'll just have to talk through that. Okay. Next are the yellow comments. There are too many twists which make the game even more confusing and less interesting to get engaged into. There are a lot of twists. It's a very, very complex story, and the storyline is very non-linear, and it takes a lot of brain power and memory to figure these things out. If you're not interested by that, and it's hard to be engaged in it, well, that's up to you, I guess. If you don't want to play, you don't want to play. But that's a facet of the game, and it's certainly not going to get any simpler. So that's just there. I never feel like I can do anything myself. Like when trying to get info from another character, they might just disappear, unless one of my NPCs handles it. Making a chance for a player to feel cool never happened. So there's a lot of teamwork, and especially in Alpha World, where things are very, very difficult to do by yourself. And especially if you're one of the lower level players, or even medium level, and you're dealing with a lot of high level NPCs. well then you're probably not going to be the center of attention, and not it isn't often that people do feel cool. You have to really work and be part of the team. It would be very, very hard and very difficult to get to a point where you're just some one lone wanderer hero going off on your own and, saving the world and being, the world hero and whatever. Um, it's possible, but it's very, very difficult. And you really do need to work with other NPCs. They're not just there to put buckets on their head and steal stuff from. They will interact with you, and they're usually, about as strong or stronger than you, unless they're like some sort of peasant or, they just happen to be weaker than you. Next comment is, giving someone super OP items during an event and turning the tides on any work other players tried to make. I don't think that question was finished, but I understand where it was going. So, in regards to things that happened with the Spirit games, players who won and managed to defeat other players and NPCs in a very closed environment, strict PvP, straight on survival, day and night cycle, doing whatever you can to scavenge and work. Yeah, you deserve something very powerful if you manage to survive that. And I know that it does turn the tide on the work that other players do. But, well, hey, if you're good and you work and you deserve that item, you get that item. And it really only turns the tides on any work other players have done when they're directly working against them, and that isn't always the case. And I haven't had a Spirit game for years now, so that doesn't really happen, so you don't really need to worry about that at all. Last comment, yellow comment, is, I want more wildlife. Well, in Alpha World, a lot of it's dead. A lot of it's coming back, thanks to the Garden of Eden in the west there. But all the other worlds are reset, and the reason the wildlife isn't there is because of the massive war and destruction and everything, so I'm not going to throw in some extra monsters and like horses and rabbits and whatever for that. They're just gone. That's just how it went down. And now on to the red comments, of which there are only 3. These are ones that I recognized as legitimate problems, things that I've done wrong, things that I need to fix. And these are very important to me, and so I've made sure to definitely work on these and correct them. It feels too eventful. I can never get my tasks done without something new instantly stopping me from reaching my goal. Now, this is something that I know and I've recognized that I tend to do, is I tend to keep piling on event after event after event. When you're doing something, you get a task to do, and then all of a sudden another NPC comes along and is like, oh no, you gotta do this, and then something else happens, and you're like, oh no, you gotta do this. And that is a problem, and a lot of it is because I come up with a lot of ideas very, very quickly, and they work very well with the lore and then fit in, and it is logical, but everything is too fast-paced in the eyes of a player to deal with, and so I've cut back on things like that, made them significantly slower or more complex tasks and things that an NPC might want. Flesh them out more a little bit beforehand so that I know about how much time it might take a player and potential pitfalls and traps and sidetracks and things that might cause you to go off the center path. But that is something that I've worked to fix. That is a very big problem that I've had. That's actually pretty much the rest of the comments, the rest of the red comments. The next one is, too many things have happened in such little time, and the last one is, I never get to finish even simple goals because more and more sugar, honey, iced tea keeps piling up and getting in the way. Well, there is a lot of sugar, honey, and iced tea. So I apologize. That is my fault. I have fixed it. made reminders and things for myself, added the quest section to applicable players on your Tumblr profiles. By the way, check your Tumblr profiles. There's a lot of good stuff on there. A lot of good information is there. And when I'm testing, I tend to try and update it as fast as I can in real time so that you get an active track of things so you don't forget. So that's pretty much it for the comments. I guess if you have any other questions or things that you want me to answer or anything that you want me to talk about, you can most certainly contact Adam, and he will get back to me with things. He'll keep your names and identities anonymous unless you want your name or identity known. By the way, if you're from Epsilon, one of the newer players from Epsilon, or maybe you jumped over to Beta or something, Gamma players, they won't see this. It doesn't matter. You really, contact me. Don't hesitate to contact Adam or even me. I'm usually very, very busy. But certainly contact Adam. He really does compile everything very neatly, very concisely. He may even fix up a little bit of your spelling or grammar. I feel like, because I know maybe, some of you maybe need to work on writing a bit, but, I really can't tell who's who usually. So I just, go ahead and answer it. I can tell generally from the context of the question that, it's most of them are from Alpha, but you Epsilon players, if you have a question, go ahead and contact Adam. He will get to me, but keep it nice. I got a pretty rough, long novella comment sent from one tester. I have no idea who it is, but it was pretty rough. So, remember that it's a one-man job here. Yeah, go ahead. Any questions, any comments, go ahead and contact Adam. I guess this is it for the first HOD vlog, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you for testing.